Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our penultimate, I like using that word whenever I can, 2023 Water Ambassador webinar series. The Water Ambassador Program is a partnership program between Martin County and the University of IFAS Extension, and it is an adult stormwater education program. So we can teach you about ways that you as residents can make a difference, as well as understanding what projects are happening in local communities. So we have one more presentation as part of the webinar series on September 19th, which you can register for, and I'll put the link in the chat. And we also have our last field trip to the Loxahatchee River District coming up on September 26th. And we do have a few spaces available. So you can register through the QR code, or I'll also put the link in the chat once I'm done with the introduction. Okay, so just as a reminder, all of our webinars are recorded and they are available now on YouTube. So you can it's the Martin County IFAS Extension YouTube page and check out the 2023 Water Ambassador Program. This presentation will also be loaded up there, but it takes about a week for us to get presentations loaded. But in the meantime, you can see all of our previous webinars. We will be accepting questions through the chat function, and we'll be holding all questions till after the presentation, at which point. So keep typing your questions as you get them, and we'll refer to them at the end of the presentation. And with that, I am happy to introduce today's speaker, Ms. Veronica Cancio. Veronica works for ORCA, the Ocean Research and Conservation Association, and she was recruited in 2022 to help coordinate ORCA's pollution mapping and land to sea project. As coordinator for these projects, Veronica recruits, assists, trains, and educates citizen scientists in the installation, monitoring, and lab analyses. Prior to ORCA, Veronica received her BS in Biological Sciences and a minor in Psychology at the University of Central Florida, where she conducted research for the chemistry department. She hopes her interest in understanding in chemistry brings a new perspective to these projects. And I personally can say, as someone who works in this field, that the combination of biological sciences and psychology is amazing. So we're always talking about, behavior change. You have to understand how people think in order to encourage them to get engaged and become those stewards and ambassadors. So I'm really excited to have Veronica present to us today on ORCA's Land to Sea Citizen Science Project, all about buffered shorelines. So Veronica, I'm going to turn it over to you, and thanks so much.
Of course, thank you so much for having me. I hope everybody had a great Labor Day weekend. So let's go straight into it. Let me share my screen. Lisa, can you see my screen?
Yep, looks great.
Perfect. All right, so yeah, welcome everybody. I am the project coordinator of our Land to Sea Citizen Science Project. Today we're going to be focused specifically on buffered shorelines. And ORCA is actually stationed in Vero Beach, Florida, for those that are wondering where we are. But we do projects all around the 4 counties from Brevard County all the way down to Martin County. So a little bit about ORCA. ORCA was founded in 2005 by Dr. Edie Witter, a bioluminescence expert and deep sea ocean explorer. And our goal is to protect and restore aquatic ecosystems through our unique innovative technologies and science-based conservation action. And we try to approach this through 4 different means. We have our innovative technology, which encompasses our Kilroys, which are live continuous monitoring stations throughout the Indian River Lagoon. Some of you that are on the water might have noticed these. So these are stationed in pilings around the lagoon, and they give us water quality parameters measurements. And this data is live, and anybody can look up this data to see what your water looks like near your location. We have our applied science research, which encompasses our ecotoxicity projects, which right here you see, it looks like a weather map basically with hot spots. So what we do is we go out, we collect water and sediment samples for a specific snapshot of that time, and we're able to basically determine if there's any hot spots or lower spots of any pollutants that we are looking specifically at. So in this case, the red is, higher concentrations, blue is lower. And we also educate the community. So this includes from elementary all the way to high school to retirees. So we really like to be in the community educating people. The more people are aware of our problems, the more likely they are to be a part of the solution. And finally, we have our citizen science. So these are regular community members, some with no science background at all. And they come to our program and we train them in laboratory field procedures. So they actually end up being part of actual live science data, which is amazing. And there's 4 projects in our citizen science that you can be a part of. Basically, we have our pollution mapping project, which is that top left right here. So this project, we currently have 28 sites throughout the Indian River Lagoon, which are monitored 4 times a year. And what's really cool about this project is all of these sites are adopted by citizen scientists, so just community members that want to be a part of the solution, want to take action. And they go out every 3 months and collect water samples, sediment samples, bring it back to the lab, and they conduct some analyses on these samples. We have a day in the life, which is actually coming up next month. So this is a day in October where we work with a bunch of high school and middle school kids and grades, along with nonprofits just like us and organizations that deal with water quality and anything, related to restoration. And they go out, all of them go out in a specific day and they collect water samples, sediment samples, and so forth. So it gives kids an opportunity to get their hands on real actual science and basically let them know, hey, this is what it looks like to be a scientist in the Indian River Lagoon. We also have our One Health Fish Monitoring Project. So we collect fish that are most consumed by the population in the Indian River Lagoon, which we know because we conducted some surveys with fishermen and local people that fish and see what they're eating. And we collect these fish, we dissect the fish, and we analyze for multiple analytes in the fish fillets and stuff like that, in their organs, just to be able to connect what the fish has in them, and basically if humans are consuming them, is it getting into us? And finally, what we're going to be focusing on today is our Land to Sea Citizen Science Project. And this project has 2 initiatives. It has our Living Shorelines, which is a water-based restoration effort, and our Buffer Shorelines, which is a land-based restoration effort, which is what we're going to be focusing on today. So for our buffered shorelines, we currently have over 70 citizen scientists taking part in this project, which equals over 250 field hours and 280 lab hours. We currently have about 9 sites, and we've transformed over 10,000 square feet of turf grass into buffered shorelines. And we monitor these sites 1 month, 3 month, 6 months, and 12 months after we install them. And that's going to make sense a little bit as we go on this presentation. And we actually have a buffer site in 4 different counties, from Brevard County all the way down to Martin County. And what's very cool and unique about that is we've actually conducted some shoreline surveys in each of these counties to determine the composition of these shorelines. So right here you see Martin County and St. Lucie County, and these pie graphs are divided into bulkhead, also known as a seawall. We have riprap, which is basically rocks or coquina rocks just scattered around a shoreline to help with erosion. We have natural, so anything, living, mangroves, grasses, and stuff like that. A combination, so any of these, any of these bulkhead, riprap, or natural, if there's more than one of those co-inhibiting, then that's a combination. And then we have our lawn and sandy beach. So if you look at Martin County, sorry, I have my Zoom face in the middle of my data, so I'm just moving it around. So if you look at Martin County, the majority of the shoreline in Martin County is bulkhead, followed by a combination, natural, lawn and sandy beach, and riprap. And for St. Lucie, most of it is natural, followed by bulkhead, lawn, sandy beach, riprap, and combination. So ideally, before everybody started moving to Florida, and they realized how beautiful Florida is, right? All the shorelines, were natural living shorelines. And as, the land got developed, we started to see more things like bulkhead, riprap, lawn or turf, or combinations. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then we also did the same survey for Indian River County. And for them, the majority is natural, followed by bulkhead, combination, so forth. And Brevard County, majority is combination, followed by natural, and so forth. So this is very important to be able to classify our shorelines, because it can help us identify areas or shorelines that might benefit from our restoration efforts, that being water-based, which is our living shorelines, or land-based, which is our buffered shorelines. And that is very important because the Indian River Lagoon and adjacent waterways are, having a huge problem with pollutants and nutrients entering the waters from runoff. So as you can see here, on the top right, we have, a typical green lawn. This is a bulkhead or a seawall. You have your green lawn right here. And typically these lawns are fertilized, which are heavy in nutrients. Or this house might have pets, dogs, cats, or anything like that, that they might go out and relieve themselves in the yard. And when you have heavy rainfalls or irrigation happening, all that excess nutrient, pet waste or fertilizer, when it rains, all that water is just trickling down, all that runoff is trickling down to the adjacent waterway. And that can lead to things like harmful algal blooms, which they take advantage of those excess nutrients, which can lead to other more serious problems, or even grass clippings. Grass clippings can lead to muck. So all that runoff going into the water is causing harmful effects. And at the bottom right, you see another green lawn. This one doesn't have a seawall or bulkhead, so this would be considered just lawn or sandy next to the water. So although this is a huge problem, there is a solution to this problem. So by simply adding a buffered zone consisting of native plants or Florida-friendly plants in between that green lawn or green yard and your waterway, when you have those heavy rain events or that irrigation, all that water that's running off is hitting that zone first. And that zone is providing a physical barrier, so for things like grass clippings or trash or anything that's nearby, and also a chemical barrier. These native plants or Florida-friendly plants are living things, they need nutrients. So that excess nutrient that's been carried by the runoff is actually being uptaken by the plants. And there's also an additional benefit to having Florida-friendly plants and natives. I mean, they've been here for a really long time. They've adapted to live here for a really long time. So they require less fertilizer. They're usually salt tolerant, specifically for waterways that are salty. And they provide an additional benefit, increasing biodiversity in the area by attracting things like insects, birds, and so forth. So before I move on, I wanted to basically walk you guys through what it's like to install a buffer shoreline or be a part of this project. So this is our first thing that we do is basically determine a site that might benefit from a buffered shoreline. So this site is in Faber Cove, and the homeowner knew about our project, and she reached out and said, hey, my backyard might be a suitable site for a buffered shoreline. Can I be a part of this? And we're like, yeah, we'll go ahead and scout the site. And we went there, and this is what we saw. We have a green, beautiful backyard with a seawall next to a water. So we were like, yeah, this definitely could benefit from a buffered shoreline. So the first thing we do is we deploy our collection devices along this seawall, and we wait for heavy rain events, two separate rain events, in which we collect that runoff and we test them for phosphate, ammonia, nitrate, and nitrite, one of the main leading nutrients in fertilizers. Once we have that pre-monitoring data, we go ahead and we move with the installation. So here is basically a picture of the installation, and these are all citizen scientists that are helped us out with the installation. And up to this point, we've been working with the homeowner to figure out what plants she likes, what native plants she likes or flora friendly, what substrate does she want for her backyard. So in this case, she chose gravel. And once we have all that information, the homeowner is happy with the design and everything, we go ahead with the installation. Once the plants are installed, we then conduct our post-monitoring, which happens 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months after we installed our plants. So this is just 1 month after we installed this location. The plants are tiny, they're trying to start to root. But we go ahead and deploy our collection devices along that seawall again. We wait for those two separate rain events, collect the water, and we test for the same nutrients. And then we wait until 3 months have passed. And look, just in the matter of 3 months, these plants are flourishing, they're flowering. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful little garden, but it also is helping in minimizing pollution. So again, this is just 3 months. So we go again and deploy our collection devices along that seawall. And we wait for those two separate rain events, and we test for those nutrients. So now that we have our pre-monitoring and we have our post-monitoring, we can now look at our data and see if there has been any change before and after we installed this buffer. So on your left side here, you have your y-axis, which is concentration, milligrams per liter. On your x-axis, you have your nutrients, phosphate, ammonia, nitrate, and nitrite. And your blue bars is your pre-monitoring. So this is the nutrient analysis that we did before the installation. And then your red bar is an average of the 1 month and 3 months post-installation. So as you can see for phosphate, there was a significant decrease in phosphate concentration. Ammonia and nitrate tend to vary, so not so much. And we currently have 9 sites that we are monitoring, and each site is unique. But one thing that we're seeing throughout all of our sites is that reduction in phosphate. So this is another site in Wabasso. So this one has a little bit more data because we actually were able to reach up to the 6-month post-monitoring for this site. And once again, for phosphate, we see a reduction. And we're seeing that same reduction. This is another site, and this site has at least a year worth of data. This is in Shepherd's Park in Stewart. It's a public park. And this graph looks a little bit different, and it's just because this park had multiple drains throughout the area, and it was a big buffer shoreline installation. So each collection device was placed in each drain. So you're just looking at the phosphate concentration before and after for each drain at this park. So once again, each drain had a reduction in phosphate. And these are our most recent buffer shoreline sites that we have installed. So on the bottom left, this is the Soto Park. This is also a public park in the city of Satellite Beach. Once again, your y-axis, you have your concentration. Your x-axis is your phosphate. And before and after, you see that decrease in phosphate. Same with over here. You have sorry, let me move my bar because I can't see it. Okay. So this is a site in Stuart Yacht and Country Club. So this site is a private homeowner. So just like you guys saw on the Favorite Cove site, private property that did an installation. And once again, before and after, you see a decrease in phosphate. And the bottom right over here, this is in River Palm Cottages. This is in Jensen Beach. And this is actually a business. They rent out little cottages, super cute. And they did a small little buffer installation there with the help of us. And once again, we're seeing a reduction in phosphate. So these buffer shorelines are reducing the amount of nutrients, specifically phosphate. So this is the private property that I was mentioning before. This is the Stuart and Yacht Club. This is what it looked like before, and this is what it looked like 3 months after it was installed. So all these are native plants. So it just shows you how beautiful natives and Florida-friendly plants can be, but also be impactful. Here's another site. So this is a condominium complex in Palm City. So this was a really huge undertaking that we did. It was 170 linear feet times about 30 feet wide. And before we did anything, it was all turf grass leading up to the mangroves. So we were able to remove that turf grass and plant over 400 plants of native plants. And we're still monitoring these sites, specifically these Martin County sites, because they were installed not too long ago, so we're still continue to monitoring them. And this is the site from River Palm Cottages in Jensen Beach. So in this section right here, it looks a bit different because each buffer shoreline, there's not a unique or specific way a buffer shoreline needs to look. We're showing that you can use different substrates, different native plants. It's all up to the liking of the owner or whoever you're working with. The location also indicates what plants would thrive there. But all of these are showing that reduction in phosphate. Here's another huge project that we did. This is in Twitchell Park. This is in Stuart as well. And this one is about 250 linear feet times about 12 feet, 10 to 12 feet. And this is, on the left is what it looked like before. And on the right is what it looks like about 3 months. It's been since we installed this buffered shoreline. And what was amazing with this site specifically is that there was already an array of native plants growing in this location, but the maintenance crew or the organization, there's 5 different homeowners that actually own the land. Their maintenance schedule was mowing all of these native plants, so they weren't really giving them the chance to grow. So we did a little survey and we were able to identify the native plants that were already growing there, and we got more to basically help out the area. And by telling them not to mow their land, those natives are actually growing now. The natives that were there already were growing. So it's honestly a really cool project to be a part of. So yeah, that's buffered shorelines. And I always like to end with this quote: "It takes a community to preserve our local environment, and installing a buffer shoreline is one way we can make a meaningful change." So super quick presentation, but I'm ready to take any questions. And of course, I want to say thank you to our donors and our funders. And yeah. any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Veronica.
Of course.
Um, we do have a question in the chat from Vincent, and I also have a couple questions. But Vincent wants to know if you've applied this approach, the planting and monitoring, to stormwater ponds as well.
Yes, we actually tried to do one in the city of Vero a while back. And we surrounded, it was a drain. We surrounded it with mealy grasses. And we did our pre-monitoring, our post-monitoring, and then we realized that this drain specifically was getting backflow from the Indian River Lagoon. So it was contaminating our collection devices. So we couldn't really rely on that data. But it's something that we do want to keep exploring because we do think they could be very impactful in drains as well.
Great. And I'm going to give a plug for our September 19th webinar, which is all about working with HOAs on stormwater ponds and buffered shorelines, the Healthy Pond program, as well as some social science work, understanding residents and HOAs' perceptions about what they want from stormwater ponds. So that links in really nicely to your talk.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned that because we do come across those instances where, especially this community that I'm showing you here, she had to go through a whole bunch of hoops and things to actually get her buffered approved, even though it was her land. So that was something that for me was very new, I guess, for me. I was like, oh my God, really? You have to do all this stuff just to put a little buffer on your land. And we've had people approach us with condominium complex, and they have a group of like 5 or 6 people that are all for it, but they have to get everybody else on board plus their HOA. So it's sometimes it can be a battle to make this happen.
Rosemary wants to know, how do people sign up to see if their location is good for a buffered shoreline?
Yeah, so if your site is adjacent to any waterways, like this right here, you have a seawall next to water and it's grass, you can apply a buffered shoreline for your location. This one didn't have a seawall, but they had turf grass leading all the way to the waterway. So, this site would also benefit from a buffered shoreline. And this site as well, this was turf grass up to a beach. So there's different ways or different shorelines characterizations that could benefit from a buffered shoreline. But if you're adjacent to any waterway and there's runoff happening, a buffered shoreline is a great way to minimize the pollution going in.
And are you the point of contact if people are interested and want to see if their property is sort of eligible for this type of project?
Yeah, so all of these properties, we actually did the installation, did the pre-monitoring, did the post-monitoring. Unfortunately, our funding cycling has ended, but we want to let everybody know that we're here as a source. If you're trying to undertake this on your own, you don't have to. You can give me a call, send me an email, and I can walk you through little things that I had to go through myself with these homeowners and recommend you nurseries, recommend you substrates, recommend you different things that I've learned along the way that have, been proven successful through this project.
Great. And that we did have a question asking how these projects were funded. So it seems like you had grant funding to cover these previous projects.
Yeah, so Impact 100 Martin allowed us to do 4 sites in Martin County. So we had this site, this was the next site, the third, and the fourth. So all of these were covered by Impact 100 Martin County. And then all the other ones were either done by 11th Hour Racing or the True Garden Group. So all these were funded through grants.
Meg asks, do you ever test the soil along the seawall in addition to water tests before designing the shorelines?
We do not. We do know that this project, we can incorporate a lot of more things or look at different pollutants and, to gather more information. So we hope that this project grows as we continue to monitor and we are able to look at more things.
And how can someone sign up for the middle school and high school program?
Yeah, so that's a day in the life. That I would have to give you my coworkers or my colleagues' email. She's the one that runs that, so I'm not sure how to specifically get involved with that since we work through schools. But I can give you her email and you can reach out to her and ask her.
Yeah, maybe at the end, if you can put it in the chat, this
Yeah.
way they can reach out. Great. And Erica would like more information about the citizen scientist program. So maybe how to get involved or what it entails.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would suggest to sign up for one of our intros to citizen science presentation that we present every month. And that is on our website. It's on teamorca.org. And it's under the calendar, citizen science, and then calendar. And you can find all the presentations or intros that we're giving to the community. And that way, that presentation gives you more detail within each project. So pollution mapping, the A Day in the Life, One Health Fish Monitoring Project, and also this one, which is Land to Sea. And that way you can really gauge to see what you like, what you don't like. And it also gives you the steps on what to do next or how to get involved. But that is the one thing that I recommend is going to that presentation to get an overview of all the projects and how to get involved in each one.
Great. And I did put in the chat, but Vincent is co-hosting with ORCA the One Health Fish Monitoring Workshop. So if anyone's interested, reach out to participate in that. Vincent asked if you could comment on the nursery sources for your plants. Were they easy to find?
They were not. That was another challenge that I was like, oh, native plants, that's going to be easy. And it's not as easy as you think. We work a lot with a native nursery in Melbourne, so that if you guys are from Orange County, that might be a little too far, but it's called Native Butterfly Flowers. And for the projects that we worked down in Martin County, we partnered with Pinders Nursery, or Pinders, I think is how you say it. And they carried a selection of native plants, but not as extensive as the Melbourne nursery. So that was a challenge, but we do have our own nursery in ORCA, Vero Beach location. And we have about 20 species, but and we try to plant those every time we can, any chance that we get to do these. But some of these plants, like I said, depending on the location that you're planting, you need specific species that are most suitable to succeed in that environment.
We have a clarification question about the graphs of the percentages of different shoreline conditions in each county. So I think that was in the very beginning of your presentation, your pie graphs.
Yeah.
So are those shoreline conditions the entire county or just the areas where ORCA has projects?
I'm sorry, you cut off a little bit.
Sorry, were those conditions just where ORCA has projects, or was that the entire county shoreline?
That's the entire county shoreline. So it took us a long time to come up with those pie charts. But again, it helps us focus our restoration efforts, either living shorelines or buffered shorelines.
Which leads us to our next question. Jenny asks if you can provide a little bit more detail on the differences between a buffered shoreline and a living shoreline.
Yes, so living is more water-based. So mangroves, any vegetation that grows in the water. Also, we currently have 9 sites in Indian River County, and they're basically bags of oyster shells or coquina rocks that we place in areas where erosion is happening. So we put those there to not only help with erosion, but also potentially recruit oysters, recruit seagrass growth, and mangroves. And that's something that would be considered a living shoreline. A buffered shoreline, you're doing it more land-based, so you're not really touching the water at all, unless, it's a sandy beach. But you're not planting mangroves or dealing with any of that specifically. It's more dealing with the runoff from a yard.
Great.
Hopefully that makes sense.
I think so. So living shorelines is the water-based, whereas the buffered shorelines is the land-based plantings.
Yes.
Okay. We have a question asking whether or not I think for your nutrients and the water quality, did you have a control site where you looked at just gravel without any of the plantings?
We, not for those graphs that I've showed you, but we do have some sites that we have deployed our collection devices adjacent to where the buffer is. So that section doesn't have a buffer at all. And we're trying to look at that right now. But for those graphs, we're just looking at that area before it had any buffers. So it's the runoff with the yard section in it. And then the runoff post installation. So with that addition of the buffer or native plants added. But that's a great question. And we are, like I said, we have some sites that we've added a little control, so right next to it where there's no buffer, but we're looking at that data right now.
Great. And Vincent adds that your local IFAS extension office, regardless of what county you're in, they can do soil testing for you for a nominal fee. So if anyone's interested in soil testing, and he also adds that he generally thinks of a buffered shoreline as anything above the mean high tide line. So, and that is the end of our questions, but we have a lot of thank yous and great presentations and everything. So I want to thank you so much again for being a great presenter and sharing these success stories, which we always love hearing because, we love seeing the positive things that our communities are engaging in. And for those of you who are watching, you'll notice I just put up the quick evaluation. You're probably all familiar with this by now, but it's a quick 4-question. You take your time to just help us out with this. It allows us to determine what types of topics you all sort of resonate with you all, our participants. And hopefully we'll see you on September 19th, as well as September 26th for our field trip. So thank you, everyone. And thanks, Veronica.
Thank you.